would technically call it really late Friday night, but it's early Saturday morning, right? And it's about Saturday. And I'm lucid enough to provide you with college basketball algorithm information. It's a super, super secret video. You're only getting access to this before sometime on Saturday, like later in the day. I'm actually going to wait. I'm going to wait. I might even wait till midnight on Saturday night. That might be the thing that we do here. I'm gonna learn how to monetize this product because those of you that have paid to see this before, let's call it, 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, February 18th is when I'm going to make this public. That you sent me some amount of money, or you're a friend of mine, or I've known you for a while, and I thought you would care about this, and I didn't mind sending it to you, even if you didn't pay me. You're the ones getting access to this, and at this point, like I've done enough work on this that this is actionable information because you can bet on all these games, and it's important. As a sports bettor, you only get so many Saturdays every year where there's a ton of games. I mean, how many games are there? Excuse me. There are, oh boy, the mouse is going crazy already. There are 130 games in here, and there are probably even more if I update it at all later in the day. But let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about, the algorithm is going to provide us with ways to sift through this information and find premium picks. So in these 130 games, right? Well, we care about home teams and we care about value picks. So we're going to sort descending by line value. And the value picks are supposed to come up to the top. Today there are 14 of them. Okay. And I can remember just off of memory and recollection over the last few weeks, there was a day that there was 30 of them. I believe it was 3 weeks ago. I believe it was that I actually guaranteed a win. I was like, this is pretty intense because you never guarantee a win as a sports bettor, but I was so confident in the number of value picks because I had just created this equation to figure out what inferred lines should be and compare them to what the actual lines offered are. And I'm so confident in how strong the algorithm is at predicting outcomes because we've been doing this for years, and I just seen what it's done over the years. I was so confident that I was like, whenever I develop a new programming technique and I install it in here, there's a honeymoon period for the first couple days before the odds makers pick up on it and realize that it works, while you can take advantage of it. So there was actually 30 value picks about 3 weeks ago. And I said in that video, and I'll link to that video, I'll go dig it up. I think it might be on my old channel, but either way, it's there. And I guaranteed a win. I was like, you will be profitable making straight bets on these teams. I go, I guarantee it. I go, you're just going to. I go, there's that one strike of lightning where it doesn't happen, but you will. And it was like 18% profitable. And then the week after that, there was about 18 or 20 picks, and they were profitable. The week after that, which was last week, I believe only had like 5 or 6 picks, and I don't think it was profitable. Here we have 14. It's a pretty good sample. So let's take a look, because that's probably where you want to focus. Stuff is not updated for later on Saturday yet because it's too early. It's before 1 a.m. on Saturday morning, so you can't get an accurate injury report, or even the overnight stats update downloads have not happened yet. So we're operating with semi-accurate information. It's close, but not completely up to date, including the injury report. But we'll assume that it's right for what we're doing in this video. So what do? Well, you want to stay away from teams that are injured, of which there are not many except for Portland State. So there's that. Portland State has been ruined. Portland State ruins my day a lot. I just remember that team ruining my day, but that shouldn't matter. All right, so let's go back for a second and let's talk about our line value games. So really not only anything with a positive value pick here on the home side, but also anything up to -50. It's all these games. It's actually 24 home teams that are playable here. It's these 24 teams right up to here. So just glancing at those games, I'm seeing not terrible lines on a lot of these. And to see like minus 120s and minus 150s and minus 130s for home teams, what that tells me is that it tells me that this is a day with 130 college basketball games. And no matter how good the odds makers want to be when it comes to lines, you can't help but get some accidental favorable lines on some outcomes here. And so you can see these. I'm surprised at how good these are. For example, on yesterday, we couldn't find one that was better than minus 235. Remember? See what they were? They were minus 265 and minus 275. Well, this is what the difference is when it's a day that has 130 games. And so you're getting access to this video, and I'm going to provide you with information that's probably going to be profitable, right? Well, it did say all those value picks, right? So do you want to just write that down and just play all those games, with the exception of staying away from some ridiculous lines like here's a minus 385 for Villanova, here's a minus 345. All these other ones are good. 10, 11. And remember, anything all the way down to negative 52. So like this, because you got an injured Idaho State, Sacramento State, like all these guys, all right? So the algorithm is telling you that these collection of teams are going to be profitable, betting on all of them even, but especially ones where the other team is hurting, like App State against an injured Old Dominion, Sacred Heart against an injured Merrimack, Southern USC, but that's minus 250. So that's the area to focus, where if if you're going to do, and I will do this, and I'll tell you how it goes. If you're going to do a big round robin, it's with these teams, because these are home teams and they're already favored by the algorithm to win anyway. And it's kicking out like 20 of them, essentially. All right. Now let's get more specific, because this is super broad, right? I just gave you a ton of teams, but it's a humongous day, right? So let's open everything up again. And instead of sorting by line value, I want to sort by margin. This is just an interesting way to find pick of the days. Okay. So margin is the difference between the teams. Like Youngstown State is probably going to stomp Green Bay. Like that's what this means. UCLA is going to stomp Cal. That seems ridiculous. But that's what it says. The line is ridiculous, and that minus 10,000 or whatever. Anyway, so when you look at this order, you want to see, well, are there ever any good lines at the top of this list, especially for home teams, because I don't want to think about away teams. So let's look at it for just the home teams. The best time you get a reasonable line is right here with Providence at home against Villanova. And then that App State Dominion game and Grambling over Southern. And are there any home underdogs? There are none. So all your underdogs are away teams, and your away teams are shown here, and you're going to have some underdogs deep down here, but this gets really difficult. This is, well, you paid for this video, so you're going to want to hear me talk about it. But let's still focus on the home teams for a second. Did I give you everything you need to do, or I also want to give you something specific, like what's a really good one that's probably going to win? Well, there's a bad strength of schedule for Providence, so it's still minus 165, which is not a great line. I'd have to say the lines are getting really acceptable down here, and my advice is to play a lot of the games that it said in the beginning of the video when I sorted this by line value, especially when the opponent is somewhat injured. That's what I would recommend. There were a lot on there. But let's take a look at away games now. So what you want to look at in the away situation, and we have it sorted by margin, which is important. So most of the time, the away teams up at the top here are going to win if it's over 20% margin. That's all the way to about here. Now, that's not perfect, but that's true. Like of those 18, 9 of those are not going to lose. Like probably like 4 or 5 of those will lose. It still happens. It's amazing how often home teams pull the upset, but it's not going to be half, like I said, with other sets of home teams. I mean, think about how how many away teams we have going on right now. We got 59 away teams that it's picking. So normally I would say something like, oh, well, it's going to go 30 and 29. Like they only win about half. Well, while that's true, it's not true with teams above 20% margin. Your over 20% margin teams are going to win more like 75 to 80% of the time, even when they're away, because they just are. They are that much better. So that's only about 16 of those. But the rest of these down here below 20% margin, these games, some of these home teams over here are absolutely going to win. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a 20% home bump, because you never, ever, ever, ever want to take an away team. You just don't. They just don't win ever consistently, ever. Like when tie goes to the runner in basketball, it goes to the home team. You just want to have home teams no matter what the situation is. I really mean that, because I've seen what the difference is. So that's why I'm putting a 20% home bump on here. After we do that, now we're going to see our home teams. Now we're going to look for our underdogs. And there are a bunch of underdogs, but it matters what order they're in. So it starts right here, meaning like, is Chattanooga bettable? The answer is yes, because it's only about a 5% home bump that makes them win this game, and they're an underdog. Is Riverside bettable? Maybe. It's only minus 112. Like, I don't know. Actually, it's still a maybe for Chattanooga. None of these lines are excellent. The line doesn't get good until down here with St. John's over Creighton, a minorly injured Creighton. There are some reasons to try out St. John's here, but it is way down on the list. Is anything good here? And actually, Riverside's strength of schedule is better, and they are home. These picks, are they going to be profitable? You can expect to win half of them. That is true here. Of all these, really. That's 15. So you're going to go 7-8 or 8-7 with your home teams. Call it 8-7. Well, which 8 do you take then? Right? Well, you got weird injuries going on here between Kentucky and Tennessee. Injured Mississippi, though, against Mississippi State. That's trouble. Sounds like trouble. South Florida could beat Tulane at plus 132 injury here. It's that St. John scam. That's a plus 250. I think it has to go as possibly a straight bet, because even though they're like 18% below margin, that like home teams matter that much more. And you got a little injury on Creighton that could make the difference. Citadel injured against Wolford, so that's probably not a good idea. Omaha's a possibility against South Dakota State at plus 210. Some of those are possible, even though they're way down there. Columbia over Dartmouth? I don't know about that. Oh, Portland over Santa Clara seems reasonable. It's not Portland State, it's Portland. Because of the injury here and the plus 130, and you're looking at a 14% margin, or a negative 14%, I guess, before you add the bump in there. That's possible, but I'm starting to waver and go really, really long here. So let's just do a quick summary. Like, there's a lot to bet on a day like this. So what are we looking to do on a day like this? Well, we're going to reset back to what the algorithm says to do when we sort by line value. And there are a lot of away teams on here when it comes to picking these. When you include the away teams and the home teams, you end up with, wow, oh goodness, you end up with 66 value picks. Wow. Let's trim that down by removing all money lines that are worse than, let's call that, we want everything to be minus 200 or better. Okay. I almost want to say like minus 175 or better. almost want to say minus 150 or better, but then you're going to get a bunch of away teams. Are there any home team? There were. I'll tell you what. Let's try that. Greater than the money line is greater than negative. We're going to call it 175. And just home teams, because remember, I tell you never take away teams. This is what you get. You've got injured Portland State, so they need to come off of here. Here's another exclusion I'm going to do, which is how do I do this? Well, I just want to say don't take this and don't take this. Don't take anything that has a health less than 95. So it's just going to be these guys. Providence, Rice, Coastal Carolina, Grambling, North Carolina, Asheville, Idaho, App State, Louisiana Tech, Sacred Heart, James Madison, Denver. I see a Virginia team or two on there, and I can't take those. But everything else, that ends up being 11 teams at very reasonable lines. Almost all of them are value picks except these last three of James Madison, Denver, and Kansas State. So the value picks, remember there were 14 value picks. These are the 8 I'm saying that have the lowest line. They're 10. Sorry, or 10. There are 10 of them. So I'm prepared to say these 9 because Portland State is injured. These 9 are the ones. And I'm going to put them on a round robin tomorrow. And you who have access to this video before it was made public can do the same thing. And I will post in the comments actually of this the wager I make, and I'm going to put $100 on it because that's my value that I do. I'm going to spread out a round robin over $100 on these 9 teams because they are excellent picks. You can expect, basically close to a 90% day or 80 between 80 and 100%, meaning on these 9 picks, you're going to go 7-2 or 8-1 or 9-0 is what usually happens with this. That because these lines are so good, that going 8-1 is very profitable. Going 7-2 will also be profitable. And anything below that will not be profitable, and is what I think will happen. And I'll structure the round robin, I believe, accordingly to that, where 7-2 or better will be profitable. And I'll show you what that wager is in a link in the description or in a link in the comments below. All right. Because that is what the algorithm says to do on this huge Saturday is home teams, good lines, no bump. You can't argue with Providence, Rice, Coastal Carolina, Grambling, UNC Asheville, Idaho. You can kind of argue with Idaho a little bit because of this bad strength of schedule, but but I mean, you could leave that one off, but App State, Louisiana Tech. Wow, Louisiana Tech over Charlotte. That scares me. Charlotte has won some games, but not necessarily when they're on the road. Sacred Heart, and then you can even consider these guys at the bottom as well. Although Kansas State is injured and Denver just blew one for us. But it's, Providence, Rice, Coastal Carolina, Grambling, UNC Asheville. I'm going to skip over Idaho. No, I'm not. Idaho, App State, Louisiana Tech, and Sacred Heart. Go with those. These on straight bets, very, very, very likely that is profitable. And also on the round robin, which you can look at in the comments below. So good luck. Thanks for contributing to the cause. I hope these picks win for all of us, and good luck. May all of our picks be winning.